So the landscaping people, or the neighbor, he finally stopped. So I guess we could set Chewie back to happy mode now. It seems appropriate. We should be happy after our Pokemon sketch. Alright, so we've got ourselves Ahsoka Tano. This should be a fun one. And a little bit more involved than Pokemon. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. Alright, get this one ready to go. So this should be fun. Really trying to do it like some super heavy shadows on her. Try to just make it look cool. Oh, look at that. Pencil lead breaks. First touch. What did I say about being in a good mood? I take it all back. The day is ruined. No more drawing. Alright. Try again with this pencil. So this is what I was talking about earlier about this concept of doing a smooth stroke versus that sketchy petting the line stroke, and it's a challenge, you know. And on the digital stuff, I have people asking me all the time about doing smooth strokes, and it's really just about like trying to practice a smooth hand, because the slower you go, the more shaky it's going to be. So to get that like organic feel, you just have to kind of flow with it. And that's the point of doing the blue line sketch, because that I can sit there and like make a million marks. It doesn't matter if those lines look a little woolly or fuzzy, because they're all going to get drawn over. So I know we have a few Star Wars fans here, so hopefully you will be into this one. I know I am. I was thinking earlier today, though, I've got a couple of Ahsoka sketch requests, but I think I've only drawn her for like Topps sketch cards before. I don't think I've done like a full poster illustration of her. I should sometime. I'd like to. You know, there's a couple of artist friends of mine, and that's sort of what they're known for, is their Ahsoka work, and so I haven't like purposefully avoided it, but it's probably been in the back of my mind somewhere. See if we get this pencil a little sharper here. I try not to sharpen my pencil over the artwork, but then I see the camera, and for some reason I think I should put the pencil sharpener up where you can see it, but you probably don't care, so it probably doesn't make any difference. So what's everyone watching this week? During all our stay-at-home time. I can tell you that my wife is still watching, or we both are, the Miss Fisher Murders. She's really into that one. I think it's like the only thing she'll watch right now until we use them all up. So we just started season 2. And that one's on Acorn app, which I've never even heard of, but who knows. Oh yeah, Danny does the most amazing. So yeah, the questions about Danny Haas and Ahsoka. Yeah, he does. He's a good guy, and does amazing Ahsoka art. I think if Star Wars Celebration happens, my guess is well. I'm very confident he'll have a new one, and it'll be just as awesome or more so than some he's done in the past. So. And I've got to give him credit for sticking with his guns. I think that, some people are jumping on the Ahsoka bandwagon now. And I don't mean official Star Wars artists. I mean, even just like fan art and stuff. But, when he first started drawing Ahsoka stuff, she wasn't that popular yet. And I don't know if he got any flack for it, but he certainly didn't get a lot of support up front. But he stuck to it. And he definitely has a well-deserved reputation for his Ahsoka artwork now. And I was talking to Star Wars artist Joe Caroni, and he says he's going to launch a Twitch channel soon, or sooner rather than later. So hopefully that's the case. I mean, I think for all of us that are sort of underemployed right now, it's the perfect place to either watch or create or both. So as soon as he does, I'll be sure and mention it and share it and let everyone know. Keep going back to the pencil sharpener on this one. Try to keep it somewhat tight and nice looking. Yeah, you'll see these organic shapes. The best thing to do is just try to make like one flowing, uninterrupted line for each segment, and that's like a really good way to make it look organic and natural. And it's definitely a challenge. Like right there, I really wanted to curve, and the pencil kind of got away from me, so just have to sort of live with that now. Otherwise, it starts to look kind of weird and sketchy. And some of these I'll just draw in faintly where I plan to do some shading and stuff. And here I want to avoid a tangent with her arm, so this line is coming through the arm. I want to make sure that I don't start that exactly where that line ends, because otherwise it creates like a visual tangent and can be kind of confusing to look at later when we put our shading and stuff in. All right, how do artists choose which print studios to go with, such as the custom colors at Valhalla? That's a tricky question, so I'll just tell you my own personal story on that, because I can't speak for other artists, but most of us that do the official art, our contract is with the gallery. So that could be like Acme Archives or Dark Ink Art or Mondo or any of the big galleries. And I've worked with a few of them. And most of the time, that gallery, because they're the one paying to have the prints made, they get to make the decision of who does the actual screen printing. And those screen printers have to be vetted and approved and all that stuff. And let me tell you, when I was working with Hasbro, not only did the screen printers have to be vetted and approved, but they had to prove that they were following all sorts of like humane practices and recycling and everything. So there's these vendors have to really jump through a lot of hoops sometimes to work on these officially licensed properties. But usually it's the gallery that is making the choice. Now, my own story is that I had an illustration, a Star Wars illustration years ago, and I had to show up for a live signing event. And I'm not really one to be a diva most of the time. I'm pretty laid back. But like anyone else, I can be upset sometimes. And this print was debuting at this live event, and I got there and I saw how it turned out for the first time, and I was devastated and upset and angry. And I just was not pleased with how the silkscreen printer had handled my artwork. And I thought that they had made some pretty rookie mistakes and tried to cover it up. And the gallery, the person, working in the shipping and the receiving end, they don't know. They get the print and assume it's correct and package it up and send it to the event that I was signing at. So after the event, I told the gallery, I said, look, here's the deal. Fans are spending typically $60 to $100 for one of these prints. And I get it, they're expensive to make. Silkscreen costs a lot of money. You pay per color and all that. And plus, the gallery has to pay the licensee, and the gallery has to pay for packing and shipping and everything. I understand it's expensive. And the fans are paying for it. So if the fans are paying for it, we need to give them the best product possible. The art that they expect. And this particular print, I was not pleased with how it turned out. And so at that point, we sort of made a verbal agreement that we would only print my Star Wars art with vendors that I approved of. So if it's a silkscreen and it's my art, it's going to be printed by either VG Kids or Valhalla, and that's kind of it. That's my two choices, and if they can't get one of those, then it's not going to get done. And I really like working with both, but I would say that Valhalla, from an artistic standpoint, gets the nod. They're really great to work with, and if I give them my colors and my illustration, that's exactly, they'll mix those colors just perfectly every time, and they'll print perfectly every time, and they'll make sure that it's printed perfectly every time. And so not only am I happy, and not only is the gallery happy, but now if you're a fan or a collector, you're happy too, because when you're spending that money to pay for that official artwork, you're getting what you paid for. You're getting the artist vision, and you're getting it well made. And to me, that makes just all the difference in the world. And so that's my story. I don't know other artist stories. I know some artists don't know or don't. I don't say they don't care. They, they're in the situation I was before a mistake happened, which is that they just hand it off to the gallery and trust that the gallery gets it right. And 99.9% of the time they do. And occasionally a vendor, a printer or someone gets in the system, and maybe they did a good job in the past, but they just kind of blow it. And unfortunately, when it comes to my art, I'm just like, we kind of have to have a zero tolerance on that sort of thing, because A, I don't want you guys to have junky looking stuff in your house, and B, I don't create enough art that I can afford for people to be disappointed. I want every piece people to be happy with. So I hope that helps a little. But again, I don't know, how other people do it. Yeah, Valhalla does a great job. I mean, I don't know if it's the Midwestern work ethic. They're in Kansas City where I grew up. So I don't know if it's that or if they just really care. I don't know, but they do a great job. And I've had zero complaints with them, and they always reproduce my artwork exactly as I created it. And I can't ask for anything more than that. All right, got the pencil lines done. Boy, that doesn't look like anything yet. So don't be disappointed though. It'll turn out cool. I promise. Oh well, I'm glad you appreciated it. I talked to an artist who I really admired, or I mean, I do admire his art, and I kind of was asking him about his halftones and his color separations and some of the stuff that I geek out about. And I was pretty devastated when he came back and he says, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know any of that. I just hand my illustration off and someone else turns it into a pretty print for me." And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not the answer I wanted to hear. Because I was ready to talk shop and realized, oh, not everybody's like that. But I just geek out on all the printing stuff. I mean, so much of my life has been spent doing stuff for comic books and magazines and books and posters, so just really, really into it. Yeah, I don't know if you saw the two big G.I. Joe pieces I did a few years ago, but we gave one to Valhalla and one to VGK, and they both did a really nice job. Like just superb. But I think on colors, just the colors, not the print quality, you'd have to give Valhalla the nod. I think it's just the difference between maybe they've got someone who's a little more artistic working the presses and mixing the colors. You can really tell the difference. Oh yeah, the paper too. Yeah. I'll tell you, the paper is probably the biggest battle because anything other than plain white costs so much. I mean, sometimes it's $1 extra a print, sometimes it's up to $5 extra per print. And there's definitely been times that I've fought for certain types of paper or colors of paper, and I understand the gallery's viewpoint that it doesn't make them any more money. It just costs them more money because if the art sells out, it sells out. So I try to choose those battles, but there's definitely times that I fight for it. And there's times that I regret fighting for it. For my 40th anniversary of Star Wars print I did for Celebration with the X-Wing on it, the trench run. I got this speckle tone paper and I love it. I was so happy with it. And you can see the fibers, it's got little things in it and stuff. And I just really thought it added to the vintage feel of the whole thing. I had more people complain about that paper that, oh, mine's got a spot on it, or mine's got a speck. And I'm like, oh no, that's part of what you're paying for. It's extra special natural fibers and stuff. And some people just didn't get it. They're like, no, I want one that doesn't have any specks. I'm like, no, they all have specks. It's supposed to be there. So I learned my lesson on that one. It's one of those like, be careful what you wish for things. I was trying to be so creative and artistic, and then unfortunately, with at least some people, it backfired on me a little bit. happens. And in the grand scheme of things, the artwork sold out, and that's what makes Lucasfilm and Disney happy. So, and that's how I get to keep working. So that's, as long as people like it, then it's a win-win. All right, so starting to do some of the inks here. I'm gonna have like a lot of black shadow in here, so I'll probably ink some of this stuff out first and fill some of this in, then we can start doing some of the shading on the head. Yeah, you were asking about paper choices. I did a Mutter's Milk print for dark ink art, and that was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed it, and some of the brown coats came out for San Diego Con. They really liked it. And it was on the coolest looking and feeling paper that I think we'd ever used on a print. And I didn't choose the paper. The art director that works on all the Fox movie properties that I work with there did. And she did a great job. I mean, it's the coolest paper until you go to roll it to put it into a tube or something. And that stuff, oh my gosh, it just did not want to roll. Hello, Are You Cool 702? Yeah, I agree with you on the paper. There's a couple I've wanted to do with maybe like using a paper that had a color where it would be part of the artwork. And I think, at least so far, the few times I've tried to pitch that idea, it's just they've decided it was a better value for them to pay for that extra color of ink rather than to use paper that was that color. So I'm not disappointed, but I'll just keep pitching those kind of ideas until one of them comes to fruition. But yeah, I've seen some really cool ones where like you said, the paper sort of becomes part of the artwork, and I love that kind of stuff. I think it really adds to the piece. And I think it adds to the visual enjoyment as you know, as a collector too. When you look at it, there's just something extra special about it. I had a piece with it's an illustration of all the Rebel Squadrons. So like, not all, but a bunch of them. So it was like Red Squadron and Blue Squadron and Yellow Squadron. So it had X-Wings and Y-Wings. And I wanted to go with a black paper and do the print on black. And especially we did have a glow-in-the-dark ink. And so I thought, oh man, it would look so cool. But in the end, I guess it was less expensive for the gallery to just add a black ink on a white paper than to go on black paper. And, you know, it looks the same. I mean, it looks great. But I think there just would have been some little extra something about it if we could have made it on black paper. Yeah, I agree. Like a limited edition. Yeah, that would be cool. All right, so still focusing on the inks here. Yeah, every paper is different, right? I mean, that's the thing, is that I get it. Like, just plain old bleach white paper is cheap, and whatever color you put on it is going to pop and look great, but it's not the answer for every project. That is for sure. So I'll probably just fill in a little bit more around her face here. And normally, I would ink the whole thing, but I'm going to fill in some of these blacks so we can decide if maybe some of these lines we want to treat a little different. See, I just did the thing I was talking about. I petted the line right there and it ruined it. So you want one smooth stroke when you can. It makes all the difference in the world. All right, so I think we can start to add some black fills in there. Just get some of these heavy blacks in and we can start working our way out. See how it looks. All right, so I'm switching from the brush pen to just one of the plain old black markers. And this is like the regular black, not the jet black. And I think I like the jet black more, so this is just plain black. But it came in the new kit, so we'll use it for now till we use it up. It's been such a challenge to acquire art supplies right now. Sometimes you just have to work with what you have. So I'm just going to fill in some of these black areas a little bit so we can really just see the stark shadows, and that'll give us a better place to start with some of our shading. Paint myself into a corner there. So did anyone see the interview with the Rise of Skywalker film editor? I thought that was pretty interesting. That she was saying she sort of felt like Rian Johnson had undone most of The Force Awakens and what a challenge it was to do the last movie. I'm not a Rian hater like some people, but it was really interesting to hear her viewpoint and everything she had to say, and what a challenge it was for them to go back and pick up the storyline with no Snoke and no mask for Kylo and some of those things. Kind of one of the first or the few times I've heard anyone who worked on a Star Wars film sort of talk about one of the other ones like that. So maybe she knows she's done and she feels like she can talk more freely now. I'm not sure. I think this paper's got a little bit more tooth to it. The way it's grabbing these markers. These are brand new markers. It's kind of interesting. I have a couple of supposed identical sketch pads. They say they're the same brand. They were purchased the same time. But it's weird. And they're supposedly the same paper stock, everything, but the feel is completely different between the two of them. So all the sketches I did last week were on the other sketchbook. And so I decided to change it up this week and see if it made a difference. definitely has a more toothy texture, it feels like. Good for the pencil drawing. We'll see how it does with the markers. And for anyone who has a sketch commission who's on the list, I will most likely be live streaming all of those or most of those. So if you're on my list, just be patient. I will get to yours. I probably already have it started in blue rough pencil, but try to get them set up nice for streaming. And I've been trying to mix it up a little bit too, because like 80% of them are Star Wars, which I love. I would do Star Wars all day, but got some fun ones. So you saw me do a Pokemon, and we've got some interesting ones coming up, like Princess Bride, and I don't know, some other crazy stuff. So people are getting more adventurous with their sketch requests, so it's going to get more and more fun. And so far, I've said yes to most things, or I've at least tried to guide them in a good direction. So trying to get outside of my comfort zone a little bit too. Hopefully that'll be entertaining for you guys. So hopefully you can start to see kind of the super heavy shadow contrast that we're going for here, and start to like sculpt out her face a little bit. I guess while we're doing that, we might as well do this piece in her arm. Try not to get my hand in it. Oh no, Chewie. Chewie. Those were some good art questions. I appreciate everyone in the chat participating. And definitely helps me connect with you guys. Otherwise, I'm just narrating, which is fine, but it's not the same. I know a lot of us artists are waiting to see if Star Wars Celebration is going to happen or not. We're all getting ourselves organized and everything ready, so just in case we can move forward. Is there one character that I can't draw in my sleep that's not a challenge? I don't know about not a challenge, but I don't know. That's a good question. I would say like my go-to sketch, if I just want to do something like super quick for people, is usually like a Boba Fett, just like the helmet or something, because I can draw that just from memory pretty easily. I used to know more superheroes kind of by heart, but no, I don't know if there's one that's not a challenge. But that's a good question. I should probably put a little more thought into that. But the truth is, until this quarantine, I didn't do a lot of sketch commissions. I would, at Comic-Cons and stuff, I was sort of always the guy saying no to everybody. I would do just a few. So I'm not like some of the other artists that can just like bang them out all day long. And people who watch my first stream will certainly know that to be true. So, but I try. All right, so what do we want to do? Let's play with some tonal stuff. I'm thinking that we go ahead and do a black outline around her. Kind of that will keep with the style, but then maybe the details on her headpiece there we'll just do in shades of gray without the outline, and that'll make it feel a little more organic. So that'll be the next step. And thanks for joining us today, Are You Cool 702. Are you new to the stream today, or did you watch some last week? I don't remember seeing you pop up on the chat before. Rough in this saber hilt. We just do some of our inking work here, because I think most of our time is going to be spent on the face. New to the stream. Well, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. It's been a little weird this week, but the goal is for me to be streaming regularly Tuesdays and Thursdays for sure moving forward, and then fill in as needed based on my commission list. So I've got a lot of drawings to do right now, so we'll probably be busy. But I've got a few other little projects and stuff going on too, so I'm trying to just keep my time kind of focused where it should be, and just do a few sketches every day and work on things every day. And it's a whole new reality right now. But it's really fun that I get to jump here on Twitch and share these sketches with you. It's been definitely more fun for me than I thought it would be. Because I like drawing, but you know, the extra pressure of doing it live, and then trying not to rotate the paper and trying not to lean my head over the sketches and all that stuff, you know, but it gets easier as we go. Bit right there. All right, that looks like a good place to start. So let's try this 30%. If you can see that 30% gray. I think we liked that one last week when we were playing with it. What day was that? Thursday, Friday? I don't even remember. It's all the blur now. I saw some news channel did like a fake segment called "What Day Is It?" because we're all so out of it now. I was like, yeah, that seems legit. Oh, well, thank you, Decidius. I'm glad that you and your daughter enjoy these, and I'm so glad that you take the time to let her watch. I'm sure she's drawing as well, because I know you've posted at least one of her drawings before, maybe two. I don't really think of this as like art instruction channel or anything, but I tend to narrate about what I do. So if you have actual questions about technique or style or tools or anything like that, don't ever hesitate to ask. definitely not one of those like super secretive artists or anything like that. Like, it's my technique and I will take it to the grave. That's definitely not me. I'm more like an artist helping artist kind of guy. I have to say, I didn't know how I would feel about these new lights, but I'm quite enjoying this. It's easier for me to see too, so I'm glad that you guys said it's better for you. Might go a little darker in there, maybe darker there. Let's try that. So that's 30. Let's just jump to the 40%. Just go shade darker, and we'll see how that looks. So this is the 40. The only thing about the new lights is they change how these, how reading these markers work. But we'll get used to it. Oh, good. I'm glad that your daughter loves it. Now, don't lie to me. I can't believe that she would sit still and watch the whole stream. She must just watch like the first 5 or 10 minutes or something, right? That's like I posted one of them from last week up on YouTube, and I told people, I was like, if you play this at, you know, double speed or fast forward, you will not, definitely not hurt my feelings at all. Get in here a little bit. Actually, I think we'll just do most of this arm a shade darker, and that should work out pretty good for us. Alright, so let's go light to dark now. Alright, so let's start off with our little 10. Yes, 10%. Start to rough in some of the face and head here a little bit. You know, she's got these white markings on her face, so I'm gonna be really careful to add just a hint of shading around those so that they pop and are visible when it's all done. Maybe a little bit of shadow in the eye. You can see it picked up, the light 10% picked up just a hint of black there in the corner of the eye. That's the kind of thing you're always fighting when you're doing like marker drawings like this. Try to keep the tips a little clean. But I think of the ones we've done so far, this one will be more involved. I have a commission I'm working on that's going to have a full background and everything, and I'm still debating whether to live stream that one or not. 5 minutes at a time, well, that's fine. That sounds realistic. You guys will have to let me know if you'd be into that or not. So I've got one that's going to have 2 characters and a pretty involved background. And so that one drawing would probably take up the whole 2 or 3 hour stream. So you just let me know if you'd care to see something like that, or if you'd rather just stick to 2 or 3 character drawings at a time. Because I haven't decided yet on that one. It's just so involved, I may not be able to do it all in one sitting anyway. So we'll see. And then they ordered it as a gift for someone, so it's going to be, you know, just a little bit more time and work than a normal one. All right, so that was the 10%. So just some really light values. You probably can barely see them. Although with the new lights, I think you can. So I think we want to skip the 20 and probably go to the 30, since her skin is just a little bit darker. That ought to give us a good look. part of the fun of doing these streams is, my style and my art is going to evolve as we do this together. And even today, I'm throwing a little bit less of the brush pen on this one and going to rely a little bit more on the marker shading. And that might take a little bit more time for me, but I think with the pattern on her face, I think the end result's going to be worth it. So we'll have to see how it turns out. Okay, thank you. Are you cool? 702. Yeah, that may be a good way to approach it. Is I don't know. Maybe I'll do the background off cam or something, and then work on it on cam, or one of the figures on cam, something. But I've really just been doing just the straight character commissions here. But it would be fun to show some of that. Once you, as an artist, you're doing commissions, you have to have boundaries, because some people, not very many, but some will take advantage. And so luckily this person wasn't one of those, but I had to tell them, well, I understand it's for a gift, but if you want all that, it's going to be significantly more. And so they end up being okay with that, which is good. And there's always things you have to say no to. People want something obscene or in poor taste, and that's just not me most of the time. Let's go with darker value for her pupils, and then also for the lips. So let's jump up to like a 60%. We'll see how that looks. There's 60. And just try to do a hint there. Normally I would give a female character like a little shine on the lip like that. And we could. It wouldn't hurt to do it. But I was looking around at a lot of the rep, and I kind of feel like she might be more of just like a totally filled in. But we'll leave it there for now and see how it looks later. All right, that's starting to come together. So I think now we can start to look at this like headpiece a little bit more. And maybe I'll just stick with this same dark value. Let's go one darker. Was it 60? Let's jump up to like maybe 80. Let's test it first, because I want there to be some contrast between this headpiece and then up here. So, all right, we'll give this a shot. So this is the 80%. Oh, the Vision from Marvel. That would be a fun one. That would be cool. Oh, speaking of fun characters, I have a Lion-O coming up from Thundercats that someone booked. So I think that's going to be a real fun one. Do I find a big difference between Prismacolor and Dick Blick and generic? Yes and no. The Prismacolor, I guess, if you want to call it a step down from Copic, technically I guess it is. But I don't find the Copics to be that much better for the price that they charge, other than some of them can be like refillable and stuff, which is cool. But for me, I do notice a difference between the Prismacolor and some of the say, more generic ones in that they'll dry out faster or run out faster. And these tend to last a good long time for me, as long as you put the caps on really good. And until the quarantine or the social distancing time, I had to keep my gear just for like Comic-Cons. The only time I really did sketch commissions was at Comic-Cons, and so they had to last. But now that I'm going to be using them, 2, 3, 4 times a week for the foreseeable future, I guess we'll see how these hold up. But I do think that sometimes there's too much emphasis put on buying certain brands or brand name products. You don't have to spend a gazillion dollars to create art, but the materials you use do make a difference. So it's a little bit of not a tightrope walk, but it's like everything else. You're just making a decision about what it's worth for the person that you're doing the art for. So, this is a commission for someone. I want it to look nice, so. So she's got this piece right here. Let's see, that was 60. Let's try that again. That should look good. Maybe, let's go down one. All right, we're gonna try the 50. Might as well use it, right? We got it in the new pack. Might as well put it to use. Let's see if we can get a little bit of some shadowing going on with this one. Maybe something like that. Yeah, that's gonna look cool. When it comes to art supplies, everything is just a tool, and it's how you use that tool. And a good example of that would be, I don't know if you've seen it, I'm sure most of us have, that you see these videos or drawings online that people make with like Bic ink pens or rollerball pens or non-art, like office supplies, and that person learned to master that tool, and they can do things with that tool that no one else can do. So it's wrong to say that the tool is bad per se. It's just, for most people, they would get a better result with a different tool. And I think that's probably just like a truth for a lot of different art supplies. All right, I'm kind of happy with the direction this is going in. Let's keep this 50 out. Actually, let's go one darker. 60. We'll jump back to the 50 in a second. So I want to do some shading in here. It'll make sense to do this lightest piece first. All right. So 20%. Remember when I said art is all about decision making? You can see it happening in real time today. Because like I said, I've got a little bit of a plan when I start these, but mostly I just make it up as I go. And so I'm just trying to make those decisions about what values are going to look nice next to each other and give good contrast. All right, so let's start with that. And maybe like, well, this might look like that, maybe. So I know this one's a little involved just because there's so much decoration on her, but I think that's part of the fun of it too. So, Are You Cool 702? Are you an artist? Have you messed around with some of those art tools, or are you asking because you are a fan and watch some other art streams? All of the above. Let me know. Maybe just a little hint of a shadow up here. We'll cover most of this up, but maybe something like that. Okay. Now I think we're ready to grab some darker value and get in there. So let's go back to the 60 for just a little bit. All right, so here's the 60. And where these stripes overlap our shading, we're going to go ahead and fill those in with the 60. That should look pretty cool. And then where they don't overlap, we'll use the 50. And so that'll imply some extra shadow. It should just give her a little bit more depth and dimension. Hopefully just look more cool. Sorry, Chewy. Didn't mean to bop you in the head there, but you were in the way, pal. So, everyone who's on the chat, where you live, is your city, are you guys doing like a stay at home? Are they making you wear a face mask when you go out? All that kind of stuff. Here in Phoenix, we're doing both now. They just instituted the face mask thing last week. And I'd say maybe half or less of the people are doing it. But I'm sure more will. So we may end up going a little darker there, we'll see. But for now, this will work. Ooh, I'm having fun now. All right. All right, so let's jump back to our 50%. Stay at home where you are. Okay, that's good to know, Decidius. But no, they're not asking you to wear a mask when you go out yet. I'm kind of curious about that because this might not be light enough. I've been, I don't think there's gonna be enough contrast there. Let's go to 40. All right. All right, well, thanks for coming on the chat and promoting your own account. All right, so yeah, this is going to work a lot better. So this is the 40%, so we're going to get some better contrast with the gray here. So you see, okay, so Are You Cool? You guys are doing a stay at home in Vegas and mask. Yeah, ours is the same way here in Phoenix. Are people actually doing it, I guess is my question. I would say where I am, maybe 60% of the people are really following the stay at home orders, and then maybe 30% of the people are wearing masks when they go out. The mask thing is kind of new here though, so it might take some time to catch on. seems to be a lot of confusion about the cloth mask thing. I think I see people wearing the N95 respirators that they're not supposed to be wearing, and all kinds of stuff, but it'll catch up. Everyone will figure it out. Never been a better time to stay home and catch up on all the Star Wars movies and Marvel movies and everything else. Well, my wife is a tennis player, so she's going nuts. We had to get out in the backyard and just hit the ball around a little bit yesterday just to get out of the house for a few seconds. Yeah, about the same numbers. Yeah. I don't know. I guess that's good. I think it's shocking to me. Some people's... I mean, obviously some people just freak out, but other people are acting like it's spring break or something, so it's kind of weird. Well, I'm trying to stay home as much as possible and ride it out. I'm not a doctor, so hopefully those really smart people will figure this stuff out sooner rather than later. Dun, dun, dun. All right, so I'm liking the way this is coming together. We might take some of this dark value and just bring it over into here a little bit. Maybe something like that. All right, what do we think, guys? What else? Do we need to do anything else to this one? I mean, I'll take a color pencil and put in the saber blade for sure. But I'll have to grab a color pencil and do that afterwards. I'm just playing hermit crabs. I like that one. That's a good answer. All right, let me look at this for a minute, see if there's anything we want to change. I think she's looking pretty good overall. All right. So I just got to remember to get my color pencils out and put in a nice saber blade and glow. But otherwise, I think we're there. Thank you, RECool702. Well, if you guys have time for one more, I have time for one more. So there we go. There's Ahsoka. I will grab the next one.